Strategy was we cram a whole bunch of stuff in on Thursday, and then and he started one. He helped start one in Chattanooga, but he lives in Spencer, so he started one in Spencer, and then we were starting one here, so he came out here, and so he helps get them started, and then he disappears off the face of the earth when it becomes something you have to maintain and keep going. But anytime you need something, you can ask Brad, and he knows a guy. So he's the guy who knows a guy, or a gal in this case. So, oh, look, I'm coming over the live stream. So I met Sherri, and then she came out to the workshop last year, which was great, but she had to miss one day. This year she's like, I'm not missing any days. We've gotten to know each other really well. It's great to know herbalists and friends who face similar business challenges. And she's going to talk to us about homestead scale, getting started with herbalism. Is it developing your home herbal apothecary?
Yeah,
okay.
Herbal apothecary.
We changed topics a few times, but we were trying to dial it into what y'all need. So she owns a store called Synergy Herbal Works in Sparta and in Cookville, and is not seeing people in May, but does practice.
I do consultations.
Consultations, so.
In June and after.
It's not in May.
Taking a break.
Yeah, and she's learning to take a break.
Yeah. You were. Yeah.
So we're gonna, even after this, she'll be around for questions. We have a couple other herbally oriented people in the room, so enjoy. Welcome, Sherri Stickler. Clap, 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 clap. There's still water over here.
Can you hear me?
There continues to be water over here.
Yes. Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and I polished off a PowerPoint and looked at it and thought, oh my goodness, we're after lunch. So we're going to make this much more interactive than looking at a PowerPoint and going through lists of herbs and stuff like that, because people tend to zone out when there's lists of herbs and they get overwhelmed. How many of you have a home apothecary? Okay, good. Whatever. Do you have herbs?
You define.
All right. Do you have books, reference books with your apothecary?
Yes.
Do you use all your herbs?
Yes.
And do you know all your reference books? Have you read all your reference books? No. Okay. They're reference books. Right. But so if you get hurt or you're sick, are you going to go to your reference book and start looking things up, or are you going to want to kind of have a system going before you get started? Or if you need to have your husband or your wife or your somebody go get something for you because you're down in bed, do you have a system all put together? So that's okay. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And what people don't realize with apothecaries and like with herbs, you really only need 2 or 3 herbs, and you can use them for so many different things, which is really exciting. And so why have an herbal apothecary? We're going to have natural medicine, self-reliance,
can skip all the
Yep.
additives.
You skip all the additives. Yep. Not have to rely on the medical system. You know what's in it.
Don't have to travel.
Don't have to travel. That's right. And do you know your health better than the physician that you go see usually?
Absolutely.
No.
Okay. Or your family's health. Okay. Exactly. All right. So it's important for us to start learning about medicines that the earth is provided, and to have an herbal apothecary, and we can make it really, really simple, I promise. And when you're looking at an apothecary, there's two things you want to think about. There's a bunch of them, but you're going to be dealing with illnesses of some kind, and you're going to be dealing with probably some kind of trauma. Okay, and that can be, we can talk about that more as we go through, and the different type of illnesses. And when you're setting up your apothecary, it's kind of like having your tools and going to find your hammer and you can't find your hammer. When you have your apothecary all over your house and you have something wrong, how are you going to find what you need? So it's really important to kind of have a central location in your home where you can put all your herbs and stuff, so that you know exactly you're going to go there. All my stuff is going to be there, or I'm going to send somebody there because I just fell and cut my leg, and somebody has to go to my apothecary. I can send them there to get what's needed. So all over your house doesn't work. So a central location, and you're going to need tools for your apothecary. And different tools are needed for different people, but I would say for trauma, you're going to need bandages and stuff like that. And depending on if you're going to source pre-made stuff, which I actually brought some things like salves and stuff like that, or if you're going to make them yourself. When I have my apothecary at home, I keep everything that I'm going to make medicine with right there on my apothecary. So you want to know what kind of tools that you're going to need as well for that. And then reference material. And I brought some reference material that I have found to be very, very helpful over the years. This was my very first herbal medicine making handbook. Does that look familiar? Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody should have one of these if they want to make herbal medicine. It tells you every modality of herbal medicine. So that's a really good reference book. Okay.
PDR for herbal medicine.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. What happens with PDRs, and when you start getting health, there are constituents and there are studies, but when you start getting people involved, they get fearful and they start telling you not to do things that have traditionally been used. And so you don't do stuff that you could do because they cause a little bit of fear. So that's important. I love this book. I use this forever, and this is like an old edition. But why I like this book is because it also provides nutrition and supplements based on different things that are wrong with you, basically. And this is like an older one. This was in my house. So that's helpful. This is my favorite Materia Medica. It's not exhaustive, but the guy, David Winston, has been an herbalist for many, many years. He's in his 70s. In Coon, they put this together, and I can pass this around, but in a Materia Medica, do you guys know what a Materia Medica is? It gives you an herb, and it'll tell you how it grows. It'll tell you the constituents in it and what it does. Is it anti-inflammatory? Is it anti-spasmodic? Those types of things. And it'll tell you contraindications. And in this particular book, it'll tell you this, like the traditional use and then the current use. Very, very helpful. So if you guys want to look at that, you can look at that. And then this was actually one of the first books that I don't look at this so much, but John Lust did. And so it has different herbs in it and uses. It's a Materia Medica. Okay. Yep. And so having a few reference books and starting to learn about herbs and use them is going to be really important. And one of the first things you want to think about when you're thinking about health is also prevention. So I'm not going to talk a lot about prevention, but prevention is first. Prevention is very important. And I'm not a germ theorist. I'm a terrain. We're all terrain theorists here. We believe that when we have balance and we have strength in our body, that we're able to repel and we're able to fight off disease a lot better. And when we work with prevention, we're working with gut health. We're working with even mental health, how we think about things, whether we fear them. And we're working with stress. We're eating good. We're eating ferments all weekend. And so we're working on our terrain so that we can repel and do those things. And so what I want to do is I'm going to go through just a few herbs because I want you to realize that you only need a few herbs that will cross over into all kinds of things. And then as we build it out, I can add some stuff in, or if you are familiar with some herbs for some things, I can also talk about that. Okay? And when you're thinking about herbs and what you're going to use in your home, it's going to be different for every household. Some households, they always have cuts and bruises and bumps. So they always have trauma. What would be the top one thing that you would want to start with in your home? And what's that? Okay. What about illnesses? So what would be the categories of illnesses that you would want to deal with in your home? Yep. So you're going to deal with viral, right? So that could be flu and colds, right? Anything and all the above. GI, right? Issues, stress and sleep, bacterial. And that's usually, bacterial usually is associated with trauma or even gut health, right? Trauma or wounds. Think about your house. What do you deal with most of the time? Inflammation. Okay. When you're building out your apothecary, you want to think about whether you're going to treat acute things, and acute things mean things that come up right away, or you're going to treat chronic things, which inflammation a lot of times is chronic. If somebody has a diagnosis in your home and they're on medication, they're going to have something chronic. So when you're building out your apothecary, you want to maybe learn about things for that illness as well. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, I picked these herbs. There's literally on my shelves, I probably have 250 dried herbs. Okay. I picked these because you can grow them. Maybe ginger is harder to grow, but you can also use garlic instead of ginger for a lot of that. But most of these things will grow from this area. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through each one of these herbs first and just tell you a little bit about them. And then what I would like to do is be a little bit more interactive on the back of your paper and have you think about, or we could even go through it together. Like if I have a virus with these herbs, which ones am I going to do? And then how am I going to do it? Okay. The other thing is on the front part of your paper there is a chart that I'm not going to go over, but that tells you the different modalities of herbs that you can choose. So how you can pick and choose the herbs that you want to use. Okay. Chamomile is going to be the first one. And chamomile is anti-inflammatory. It's very good for wounds. It's vulnerary. It's good for your GI system. So it's like a bitter tonic, a digestive bitter. It's really good for children. And I'm going to miss some probably that are on there. Tell me if I missed any of them on the thing as I go through. So chamomile, I can use, it's a diaphoretic. I can use this if I have colds or flu because it's going to decrease inflammation. It's going to work for GI systems. It's carminative, which means that if I have gas and bloating and I'm having cramping, it's gonna be antispasmodic, and it's gonna release gas in my intestinal tract. And I can also use it topically for wounds. So that's a pretty good use for that. Echinacea, everybody knows echinacea. Echinacea root, you actually can use you use the root and the blossom. And this is everybody knows it is an immune tonic. The reason I picked echinacea over elderberry is because people don't realize that it is a very good, what we call vulnerary, and it helps with healing too. So you can, if you just have echinacea, you can heal wounds topically with this, and you can make salves with it. It is very stimulating to the immune system. So if you have an autoimmune disorder, you want to be very careful using elderberry and echinacea because it can hyper stimulate your immune system. If you have a flu, what was happening with COVID, when people got really sick, is they would go into an inflammatory cascade because their immune system was like super stimulated. And echinacea and elderberry can send you into an inflammatory cascade. So I only use those two things for the first 24 to 48 hours of a viral infection. If they're going to work then. And if you continue to use it, then you increase your chances of going into an inflammatory cascade using this. And if you have any kind of autoimmune disorder, you really don't want to use echinacea or elderberry. I recommend people use andrographis or mushrooms. Medicinal mushrooms are also helpful if you have an autoimmune disorder. Echinacea is also really good for your lymph. It moves your lymph system. So if you have like swollen lymph glands, that's going to be very helpful for moving and helping with lymph system as well. Okay. Ginger. Does anybody grow ginger? Yes. Grows. Yeah, you do. It does grow around here really well, actually. But ginger has all kinds of wonderful qualities to it too. It is antiviral. It is dispersing. So that means like if you have a congestion and you want to break up congestion, you would use some ginger. It's very moving in the body. Okay. And it tastes okay. Don't use too much of it. Yeah. Lemon balm is one of my favorite herbs that grow in my garden because it smells so good, but also it's a what we call a nervine. So when we talk about stress and sleep, this is very effective for helping people relax and calm down. So it helps with coughs. It's very, very antibacterial and very antiviral. So you could use this instead of echinacea even. Okay. It makes a lovely tea. It smells just like it says. When you brush against it, it's very, very, very lemony. Okay.
Sherry,
Yes.
with the lemon balm,
Yes.
do other mint species
You close the
or
door,
mint
please,
family plants, do they have similar effects, or is lemon balm really specific in its?
I feel like lemon balm is more specific in its effects, and it has extra constituents in it that are helpful for viruses and also the nervine effects, where mints don't necessarily do that. They stimulate like our circulation, and they're very aromatic and lifting up like this is, but I don't feel like that they're quite as antiviral as lemon balm. Lemon balm, I use this a lot of times with people that have chicken pox, or they a herpes like virus on their lips, or they have shingles. This and St. John's wort are specific for those types of infections. And then marshmallow root, you can use marshmallow leaf, and most marshmallows are interchangeable. So if you grow marshmallow in your garden, there's all kinds of different forms of it, and any kind of marshmallow is usually interchangeable. Marshmallow is very demulcent. So what demulcent means is it's coughs, and it can calm the GI as well. We use this in what we call healthy gut tea. It's very, what we call vulnerary. So again, it heals topically, it heals wounds. But if you do it internally, it's going to decrease inflammation, and it's going to help it's going to help with healing and sealing the intestinal lining. So when you're working on gut health, one of the things that you can use is marshmallow leaf or root. I like to use this before I use slippery elm, because some people use slippery elm interchangeably. You'll hear that. The reason I don't like to use slippery elm as much is because slippery elm is it's harvested a lot. It takes a lot longer for it to grow. And so as far as sustainability and resources and stuff like that, I feel like marshmallow root is better for that. Okay. And there are different ways to make marshmallow root, which as you learn about it, but this specifically, if you were to make a tea, usually what you would do is put hot water on top of the herbs to make the tea. This does better when you put cool water on it and you let it set for 12 hours or better. And it's called a cool infusion. When you know that you have done a good job getting the stuff out of it, when you check the liquid, it's almost going to be egg whitey. It's going to be really thick. And that's the polysaccharides in it. It's hot, and those polysaccharides help with the moistening quality, but also polysaccharides that are in this and in mushrooms, they are very helpful for making our immune system alert without stimulating it. So if you have autoimmune, you want something moist, you could put this in and it would alert your immune system without hyperstimulating your immune system. Okay. Yes. Yes.
For the cool infusion, you said
Yes.
at least 12 hours or
Yes.
only 12 hours?
About 12 hours, but I will do it after 4 hours. Usually when I need this, I need it right away. And I'll put warm water on it and let it cool off. I like to put licorice root with it because it's very anti-inflammatory. And we use this when we have a dry cough and or you have a sore throat. Somebody had a sore throat. This is really good for, you take some and use some for like soothing dry tissue. If you have dry skin, dry irritated tissue, it's also going to help topically on the skin. Okay.
You say topically, like a poultice? Or?
Yeah, there's different ways. Poultice would be a good way to do it. What I would do is I would put water on it and let it get kind of thick, and then I would put a poultice or wrap it in gauze and then like put it on and let it set and get cool, cool the skin off and stuff. You could do other ways. You could do it other ways too. A fomentation, you could put it in a bath. There's other ways to do it. Everybody's familiar with mullein? Okay. Did you know you can use all the parts of mullein medicinally? Okay, good. Mullein, when they talk about mullein and garlic ear oil, that mullein is supposed to be the flowers because they're very emollient and they go with the garlic and the oil and they help soften the eardrum. Mullein leaf is going to be, it's also a little bit demulcent, but it's very decongestive and it's very restorative to your lungs. Okay. A lot of people that have lung disease, they'll encapsulate mullein and they will do the capsules to increase the lung function basically over time. And if this is specific to if you have a cough and your cough is, you've been sick for a while and you have like this boggy cough, you want to bring stuff up and you're having a hard time bringing stuff up, that would be the time to do mullein. Okay. If you had a dry cough, do marshmallow. Okay. And so I'm kind of going through these, but what we're going to, at the end, we're going to go through the systems.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Would you do those with the steam?
You could do a steam. Yes, you could. I would probably do a steam with aromatic herbs, though I would do mint and lemon balm I would add those to it because the aromatics are gonna be inhaled easier. Yep. Everybody knows what plantain is. Carrie, or all the herbs Carrie talked about. I was like, hey, we're talking about some of these herbs. If I was gonna pick one herb that I had to go away with, it probably would be plantain. Really. There's a reason why it grows everywhere. It's because it's so healing. Plantain is it's hemostatic, by the way. So if you have internal bleeding, it does help with internal bleeding. A lot of people use this externally. They'll make plantain salves, so they'll use it for healing externally. We use this internally for gut formulas as well. Astringent. If you go out and you grab some plantain, if you want to grab some of this and try it, it's very drying on the tongue. It's very astringent. But what it goes in, it's very anti-inflammatory too. So the same thing, internal skin, anything that works internally is going to work externally on your skin for healing. And so it's anti-inflammatory. It has antiviral properties. It pulls pus. So most people don't know. Yeah, what's that?
Poison ivy.
Poison ivy. It would be good on poison ivy because it's going to be astringent and it's going to pull and do some drying. But what I like to do with this when I think about pulling pus is I think about like wounds or abscesses. You're going to pack an abscess and it's going to like pull the pus out. When people come in and they have an abscess in their tooth or their gum line, it's really, really good for the gums and for like pulling pus when you have an abscess in your mouth. I like to tell people to use plantain, do a really strong, like a decoction where they boil water with it, like maybe half a cup, and then add myrrh tincture. It's it's plantain and myrrh. And you wash your mouth out with it, or you you can pack the plantain and use plantain and myrrh for your gums and for abscesses. And I have had people with receding gum lines and issues with their gums, and they have done that daily, and then they go and their mouth is healing from it. So very, very helpful. So in pus, MYRRH, myrrh. That's one I would probably just buy a tincture of to have on hand. And then everybody knows about yarrow. Yeah. Plantain and yarrow. By the way, yarrow is known for stopping bleeding. Plantain does too. So it's really good for bleeding as well. But yarrow is the herb that people talk about when they get a cut. They're gonna stop bleeding. I actually had a friend who cut her finger one time, and I was on the road, and she called me. She's like, I can't get my finger to stop bleeding, and she had yarrow. And I said, make a really strong tea and put it in water and put your hand in it. And her cut on her pinky stopped bleeding within 5 minutes of doing it. And then you hear all these like crazy stories. Somebody was telling me recently, I don't know where I was, about somebody out in the bush somewhere cutting trees down, and they cut their leg so bad, and they didn't know there were two of them, and the only thing that they could find around to deal with the leg, the bleeding, the leg, besides pressure, was they had some yarrow around, and so they ran and they packed the wound with it. And by the time the guy got to the hospital, the physicians they were like, why are you alive? So it actually saved his life. Yeah. And you're like, okay, that's not a firsthand account, but you hear accounts of yarrow working that way quite often. Yarrow is really interesting too because it's a peripheral dilator, a vascular dilator. It opens up our capillary beds. And a lot of people, I deal with a lot of people that have blood pressure issues, and a lot of times and our people tend to like their bodies down, and all their blood kind of like flows into their center of their body, and they're clamping down their vasculature and they're on their peripheral in their capillary beds. And when you give yarrow, it normalizes the blood, so it helps the blood flow out from the center out into the peripheral portions of the body. And a lot of times that and something for stress, a nervine, or something relaxing it will help bring their blood pressure down as well. If you have people with circulatory issues, this is really good. Same thing, the capillaries are clamping down, so you're going to increase the circulation to the peripheral portions of the body. It's very good for women. It's a menstrual, what we call a trophal restorative. It increases when women have pelvic congestion, it increases blood flow to the pelvis. And so it also helps with normalizing people with menstrual issues. And it's used in a cold formula as a diaphoretic for fevers. Okay. Fascinating thing is we actually have a couple diaphoretics here. Lemon balm is a diaphoretic. And I think chamomile is a diaphoretic. I'm not sure, but I do know lemon balm is, and this is. Okay. Yes. Okay. I wasn't sure. I was like, wow, it does that too when I was looking it up. But so what a diaphoretic is it makes you sweat, or it can be diuretic. The interesting thing is any herb that says that it's diaphoretic can be diuretic. So diaphoretic means it makes you sweat, and then diuretic means it'll work through your kidneys and help you urinate if you have a lot of fluid. And it just depends on if you drink it hot or cold. Okay? So yarrow, you drink a hot tea with, it's usually mint, yarrow, and elderflower, the traditional use when you have flu. You want to drink it warm, it'll break a fever, it'll help break a fever. But also, we don't want to break fevers, do we really? We don't really want to, we want to work with our symptoms. Sometimes we want to bring a fever down because when our fever gets high enough, we have bone and muscle aches and pains. So when people have flu, a lot of times they will be laying in bed, they'll have chills, and they will have bones and muscle aches and pains. And it's because the high temp, the body is actually pulling calcium out of the bones really quickly. And that causes the bone aches and pains. It's like a physiological thing that happens. Boneset is the traditional herb for flu when you have bone aches and pains. Helps with that. I did bring something that I like to use for kids when we want to do it, and it's calcium lactate. And it'll also help. Times when your fever is so high, you want to bring it down enough that you can sleep. So that's what that does. Calcium lactate and some of the diaphoretics that are going to bring the fever down will help so that you can get some rest and sleep. What else do I want to tell you about yarrow? That's a lot. It's a pretty amazing herb, actually. Okay, so these all grow around here, except for ginger. Yes?
I have access to a lot of wild yarrow. When is the best time to pick
Right
it?
now. Is it in flower?
Not yet.
Okay, mine is just starting to like bud and come into flower. And when you pick it, it's called it's Achillea millefolium. The Latin millefolium just stands for like many leaves. And when you look at it, the leaves are very, very feathery on it. And the portion that's the highest in the constituents is the flowers. And so I'll go through and I'll pick it and dry it, but I'll use the whole thing. I'll pull off the leaves too. But by the time it's done drying, the leaves, you've got like this much, and then you've got more of the portion of flower.
So are you waiting till the flowers bud or till they?
I do it right. I don't like them when they're in full. I like to get them right when they're almost ready to pop. But like right now, like soon is a good time to get it. Yep.
Does the color make a difference in yarrow? Is it only yellow, or does it matter if they're white and purple?
Some people believe that it makes a difference, and some people don't. I know that certain cultivars it doesn't make a difference, but I'm not sure about the like the purple ones. I always get the white one. There is a yellow one that I think is a little bit higher medicinal quality. Do you know?
Some of the hybridized ones they sell these days have greatly reduced
Yeah.
the amount of active ingredient.
Yeah.
So I just wouldn't go for any of the yarrows that you'll find in a big box store or anything like that. I would go find the traditional cultivars.
Yeah, if you're gonna plant your garden. But one of the things I tell people too is like there are seasons for gathering herbs, and then it's like health is on a continuum. The same thing with herbs. If I only had a purple one, I would use it. But if I had access to the native, then I'm going to use that first. And just to know that you're going to get a better benefit from the native.
Variegated usually have the ones that have multicolored flowers. Those typically have been messed with.
Oh yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I think the yellow ones and the white ones.
Those sorts of wild progenitor.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on any of these? Yes.
I found with the yarrow you can smell it when it's ready to pick, and when it's stronger, it's got a distinctive smell, and the smell is very strong.
I mean, and you guys are welcome to smell this because it's very strong. This is from last year. It's stuff I gathered last year. Any of these, and you want to make tea, you could make some tea afterwards or whatever. Yeah. And so that is something like for your reference material to know, but usually it's only about a year. It depends on the herb. If I have roots, a lot of times roots will last longer. And if they're higher in resin, they'll last even longer. And then when you have like flowers or loose leaf stuff, then it's usually, they'll tell you a year generally. What I usually do is I go by smell too. In sight, I look at them to see if they have good color, and I might even taste them to see if they still might work, just not as well. Yes, ma'am.
So the method by which these are dried, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's my understanding that freeze drying maintains nutritional value, and you can put them in Mylar bags for.
I would say yes, probably. Yes. But I haven't froze drying them, but I have used suction and taken all the air out before so that they don't have any air, and then I keep them away from sunlight as well. Sure. But yeah, you could. Yeah, I don't, but people will do that. I find that it tends to work too fast. I have a greenhouse, and a lot of times I'll pick stuff in the morning and I will let it dry, and then in the afternoon it's like ready to, or I'll hang it in my house.
I sold an extra freeze dryer to a guy that was a herbalist in Alabama. He drove up to get it, and he uses it all the time to make stuff.
Does it make them crumbly? Like, does it make it into a powder afterwards?
No, you have to, but you can grind it.
Okay.
You can turn it into a powder very easily, but it takes all the moisture out pretty much.
Yeah.
And for food, it preserves 95% of nutrition versus if you were to just can of food, you lose about 35%.
Yeah.
About 60%. So it's the best thing to preserve the ingredients. It just takes the moisture out. So it's going to be dried, and you can either leave it whole, or you can, like I do eggs, I can leave it whole, like chunks of eggs, or I can put it in a blender and make powder out of it.
I would probably leave it whole, just because when you blend things, you increase oxidation and like the aromatics and stuff like that. But freeze drying, it seems like it would be fine. When you use a dry herb versus a fresh herb, you're concentrating things down. And so you also want to take into account like dosages and stuff like that based on when you're concentrating things down. Generally the rule of thumb is when you use a fresh herb, it's double the amount that you're going to put into a dry. It kind of depends on the herb. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is pushing my button.
Yep.
Okay, so we're talking about
Yes.
plants.
That's
Okay, they have, when a plant is at a low level of health, it can produce basically the carbon structures and everything it needs. When you get a little bit further healthy plant, it can start to produce all the proteins. Even more healthy, it can start to produce all the fats that it wants to. And then finally, when it gets to be really healthy, it can produce all of the phytonutrients. And it's usually those phytonutrients that are the things that are the most medicinal. So when you're saying, can we freeze dry that? Part of the problem is a lot of those phytochemicals can be volatilized pretty easily, which means I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what would happen if I put that in a freeze dryer? Right?
Yeah.
It's like that could be literally, and I haven't seen the science on this, right? If so, two things I would say is that when people quote, 95% of the nutrients in the food stay into the freeze dryer, it's like, well, what are you calling nutrients? Are you talking about the minerals? Okay, sure, the minerals will stick around because they don't volatilize. Are you talking about, like, if you have super healthy herbs and you freeze dry those, what happens to all of those really complex phytochemicals and volatile compounds that were in there? And that's a whole question when you go to processing or some other real aggressive process like
I
that.
appreciate that, because I was like, I don't really know. And also, most of the constituents that are active are essential oils or phenolics. And so, yeah.
I think to ask that guy
Yeah.
if he's had good success with it.
Yeah.
He's supposedly a known guru.
Yeah.
Well, your problem is that 97% of the food you can buy in a grocery store does not actually even get to the point of full protein synthesis, much less full fat expression, much less getting into. That's why we tend to wild harvest and grow our own herbs for medicine, because you won't get that level of medicinality out of it otherwise.
And also, when you grow things on your property, a lot of it's weird, but usually what you need grows around you, and what the constituents that are growing in the things on your property are usually what you need in that area. Yes.
So last year I freeze dried all my herbs for food: basil, oregano, marjoram, thyme. One other one I can't remember. So I freeze dried all them, and all I know from the food aspect, because I was in the food industry pretty much my whole life, is when I cooked with them, they were much more vibrant than more vibrant than spices from the store, and actually in some cases fresh. Like marjoram, I found much more sweeter, much more potent freeze dried. Now I don't know how that would go for yarrow and all that, but
yeah, we need to do some science on it.
Yeah, that's kind of fascinating conversation. So let's do this. Let's talk about the common things that happen in the home, but everybody's going to be individual in what they think about what happens in their home specifically. But what do you want to treat in your home? What do you want to talk about first? What's that? Allergies. So allergies are, it depends on the person, and some of it has to do with allergies. Sometimes it has to do with gut health. Some good allergy herbs I can tell you. I have an allergies tincture. Goldenrod is a good herb for allergies. I do use a little bit of golden seal leaf in my allergies tincture because it's topical and it kind of tends to dry things up for people. But allergies is usually a root cause issue. Okay, allergies aren't because there's things flying around in the air and I have allergies. We will have irritation. So if you have dry irritation, I would say that I would use something moistening like marshmallow leaf to kind of help with the dryness and the irritation. But I would be looking more towards root cause. What is my gut healthy? Do I have leakiness in my intestinal lining? Some people in your intestines, you have something called DAO, diamine oxidase, and it helps break down histamine. Some people genetically aren't breaking down histamine the way that they should. So are there things that you can do for histamine breakdown? Typically what they will do is they will give people porcine or pork kidney, which has DAO in it. Or you can take organs. You can take beef organs. People will take beef organs, or they'll take beef kidney. And that will help with the histamine breakdown as well. So that's a little bit what's going on. Do you have stomach issues?
My wife just has allergies.
Has she had allergies all her life?
Same brand. She used the Antranex a lot.
Antranex, yep. Yeah, it has glandulars in it. Glandulars, yep, that with that as well. What about what would be normal things that you would do in your home? Do a virus? How are you going to treat a virus with these things? Do you feel like you can, after going through that and looking at on the paper, do you feel like that you could mix things up to make a virus?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you give it? Would you give it, so you want to think about it. I have these in my apothecary. How do I want to give a tea? Do I want to have some tinctures available? Do I want to make a glycerite? And so those would be all types of things that you want to think of as well. Or you could just start with the dry herbs and make a tea with it. Okay, using your reference material. One of the things I forgot to tell you about in the beginning, this is like the mastermind of your apothecary. I'm going to let you pass this around. I actually started making this because of this class, and I give some apothecary classes. But in this book, in the beginning, I have a materia medica for the herbs. So I've written down all the stuff about the herbs that I have found. And you keep adding to these as you find out more information. The first tab is general exam. What do I do for a general exam? Child dosages. And then I have abdomen, animal bites, bones, head, eyes, ears, inflammation, skin. And then behind them, you can put the different herbs. Here, I'll start here. That you would use for those things and how you would do it. And then you could even have an index card with recipes on it. Okay, so that would be a really nice way. This is actually mine that I have. I actually have two of these. This is for practice because I don't remember everything. And it goes through body systems. And then as I have material, I add to the cards. And then you can put recipes and different things on these. And that way, if you're laying down in bed sick and your husband has to go get something for you, and you're the one that does the apothecary all the time, he can go to cold and flu, and he can pull out all the cold and flu stuff and say, oh, here it is. Here's the herbs, and here's some recipes. And then it's all ready to go. Okay, you guys are welcome to look at those. Do you guys have boxes at home? Do you have a box for apothecary? Yes.
Many little
No.
books.
Yes, I started out like that.
Yeah.
And
And what I used to get crazy, like I would want to organize my book like along before I wrote in it, but now I just write pages and then I leave 2 pages for a table of contents. So I'm like, oh, cold and flu or I have one that's recipes. I probably need to get assistance.
yeah, I have binders everywhere that someday I'm gonna like organize and put together.
I have my
It's not gonna happen.
foraging cards in those
You
boxes.
have I have 9 minutes.
I have books and binders that I never open, but I carry index cards with me.
Yes.
And I have multiple different boxes, and I have a whole herbal box.
Perfect. Yeah. So and then you keep it in one location so that
Yes, I
it's
do.
like
I
that
just told
hammer.
Randy
You
to
can't
tell him
find
where
it.
it is.
Yeah. Can't find your hammer. You can't
I know
work.
I can
And
tell them exactly
it
where
is hard when you're the herbalist of the home or the friend group or whatever, and you're the sick one, because people are like because I'm like, oh, just go get me this or that. But of course, like everything is everywhere in my life for the last 5 years, so it's just been really difficult. It's so helpful to have it organized.
Really, if I could just stress one thing, is like it is just a few herbs. You could literally say, I just want to treat viruses in my home. How do I do that? And pick the herbs that you need for that. You only need 3 or 4. And then from there, learn them very well, build out your thing here, and then add on. And usually herbs that are good for viruses are also good for wounds. A lot of them and different things. Yes.
So we know that ChatGPT or Claude can hallucinate, but have you looked at those and said, wait a minute, if I got this problem, what herb would I use? And have you compared it to what your real life situation to see how accurate it is? And maybe that would be a workaround.
And so the problem, sometimes it will pull from things, but it pulls from everywhere on the internet, and not everybody is putting good information on the internet. So you have to be very careful. And then what also happens is people don't think about constitutions. They don't think about the person as an individual. Here's an example. Everybody's doing berberine. It's a GLP-1. It helps with blood sugar. It's like, oh, I need berberine. It's going to be the best thing ever. And usually, it's on TikTok because people are coming in and they're buying it. It's like, okay. But berberine is very cold in the system. And when we look at somebody, like if I looked at you, I'm going to assess your constitution. Are you hot, dry? Are you cold, warm, wet? Where are you? Wet? And then I'm going to marry the herbs that I think are going to normalize your constitution. And the ChatGPT can't do that. It's hard for it to do that. I guess it could if you had enough inputs and stuff like that into it. But I would be careful. Like people come in all the time and they ask for tinctures from the apothecary. As long as they tell me what they want, I'll give it to them. But I'm also like, I don't like this because people are doing things, and I want people to be able to do it, but also there's a disconnect between the two.
Hey Jake, what I've done trying to use AI for this is Notebook LM. You take a PDF of like the herbal medicine maker's notebook, you throw like 5 trusted PDFs of books that you have onto there, and then it'll only pull from that data.
Right.
It's not perfect, but it's a lot better.
You just want to really be careful, like how you take that. And then also what's happening is people they're fearful now. They'll come in, I'll give them something that I've used traditionally forever and ever and ever. And they're like, that's going to kill my liver. Oh my gosh. And there's all this information on the internet that like black cohosh is like bad for the liver. And I'm like, well, yeah, anything is going to be bad for the liver in high amounts. But it's, so you just have to like sift through. And it does help if you know somebody that has been doing it for a while, or if just in practice yourself, just like one step, precept upon precept. So yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Fire cider, what's your thought on fire cider?
It's a good tonic. It's a good decongestant. And so it's very pungent. And cayenne is going to like move things. And so it'll help the liver. It's going to help flush some things in the liver. It's going to break up phlegm. Fire cider. Yeah. It helps some liver gallbladder areas. So it's going to help the digestive system a little bit. It can. A little. Yeah. Apples, it depends on how it's made. You can ferment it, by the way. I make mine fermented at home. I don't make it with vinegar.
For the ammunition,
Yeah.
what is fire cider?
Fire cider is a combination of horseradish, cayenne. You can put all kinds of things in. Onion, ginger, turmeric.
Mushrooms, hot peppers, onions.
You're gonna feel it doing something.
Garlic.
Yeah. And you put apple cider vinegar. You can ferment it. Add water and salt. Put it on the counter.
Use an inoculant? Like, do you use a starter? Like sauerkraut juice or something?
I mean, you could, but lacto-ferment, it's all you
Yeah,
need. 5
that's
minutes.
it.
And then how
5
long
minutes. Okay, thank you.
How long you let it sit?
Until it's done. I don't like. It's bad. I don't have rest. I just have done things until like the taste, smell.
Honey, until it's
It
done.
just goes with the
Experience.
yeah.
I'll take
Until it's
pictures and
done.
send it to you.
Yeah.
Email. This is done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not starting with the vinegar.
Yeah.
You're gonna have scratches. And your question is like
How long?
is it
Yeah.
done? It's like when it tastes zippy.
Yeah, when it tastes done. Yeah. Yes, yes.
If we have time, I do have a personal experience with yarrow as a styptic.
Okay. I mean, we have
It's quick.
Just a minute.
Yeah, but
yeah.
So we had an older male pig, and we didn't castrate him early enough, and I have that boar taste, like I can taste that. So we had to do that to a very large pig in a pen with other pigs. We're not very good at that stuff, but anyway. So there were two people, me and my husband, one to hold the pig and one to cut the pig. So since I work in surgery, even though I just hand people instruments, I was the pig cutter. I had never done that. I watched so many YouTube videos and it looked so easy. All right. Well, I nicked an artery on the first one. Now, I anticipated that something like this might happen. So I had gel foam that I had gotten from work. It was just like an outdate, or like the outer package was open. We couldn't use it anymore. So we take those valuable things home. You know, like a product that's meant to stop blood. Yeah. And then I also grabbed a basket full of fresh yarrow from around the house and had that sitting. So yeah, I didn't do a good job on the second one. So the gel foam worked great. Everything was fine. The second one, obviously I didn't learn my anatomy of pig testicles, and it happened again. And I was like, shoot. But I didn't have any more gel foam, so I grabbed the yarrow. I would say the yarrow worked even better than that product. Yeah, it stopped arterially, like immediately.
So I grind yarrow up and put it with bentonite clay and echinacea and use it for bites and stings as well. But yes, and carry it in your pack. Carry some powdered yarrow in your pack or something.
Surprised. I've heard about it all the time.
Yes.
But that was a real life-saving thing if you needed to be.
Complication rate of surgery.
So
yes,
one last thing. I have one last thing. Snake bites or spider bites. What do y'all do for them?
Cry.
Yeah. Pass out, die. Like, yeah. We keep Benadryl. We do keep Benadryl just because for that, like we want to be able to make it out of the woods or whatever. But the early eclectics use echinacea effectively against a snake bite. There was I don't remember his name now, but he came into the eclectic college from the Southwest, and he was telling them that it was effective against snake bites. And they're like, no. So he came and brought the echinacea and brought his rattlesnake with him and let it bite him and proceeded to treat himself with echinacea with it. High doses of echinacea internally, I would do in addition to a snake bite. And if I get a spider bite, I'm putting echinacea and I'm going to put something drawing on it, like charcoal bentonite clay, something like that to keep drawing out. Sugar works for drawing. Salt works for drawing as well if you have a bite. But anyways, I just wanted to bring that up if you want to do more research. Okay. Huh?
Got a minute. Any last thoughts?
I'm sorry.
On a spider bite, how do you apply the echinacea? Just ground it up, or?
I would put it in a paste with a bentonite clay or something, and you could do like a ground up, and you could put a poultice on and keep a poultice on, and then I'll put a Band-Aid on something, and then I will put the echinacea tincture on the outside of the Band-Aid so it keeps like soaking into the Band-Aid, and then I'm doing in ounce of echinacea when I have that. Okay, well, thank you guys. Yes, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to say, how about poison ivy?
Poison ivy is what works really good is apple cider vinegar against poison ivy. The other thing that does work is jewelweed. There is another story. There's an herbalist that wanted to show that jewelweed worked really well. People realize that don't realize that jewelweed actually, what it does is it fills the receptor sites that the urushiol that's in the poison ivy goes in. And so he went to a class and he put jewelweed on one of his arms and he left the other arm undone. And he rubbed the poison ivy on both. Like, I would not do that. And the side that had the jewelweed on it did not get the poison ivy. Wow. I don't know if it didn't at all or if it got some on it. But we use it. We'll spray. If there's people that have poison ivy issues, you're going to spray jewelweed on before exposure. and then afterwards, and then apple cider vinegar and brown paper on top will help dry it up. So, thank you.
Process. I noticed you're using.
Yeah.
Tell people why.
Well, I do use it. I do consultations. I've been in practice since 2014. I do use some of their products, and I like some of them. They work really effectively. And I have an allergy tincture here and some. You guys are welcome to look through the basket. I have some formulas here that we make at the shop. If you're interested in any of those, you can let me know. I'll just put them out here on the garbage cans or whatever those cans are outside the door. So thank you.
Thank you, Sherri.
Yeah.
We got a little less than 15 minutes.